This week we're going to highlight the price changes associated with March corn futures on the day that the USDA releases its December supply demand report. We're going to take a look at the history of price action for December corn futures and then take a detailed look at Brazilian corn production and the status of that crop at the moment. Wrap things up with a review of export trends here in the U.S. Hi, this is Brian Basting with Advanced Trading. Let's talk about the corn market. We've moved into the month of December here, which is typically a quiet month, but the corn market is actually showing some life to the upside. Before we get into that, we're going to mention that the USDA will release its supply-demand report on Tuesday, December 9th at 11 a.m. Central Time. Let's take a look at the history of the price changes in March corn futures on the date that that report is released. We've gone back here about 10 years here. Again, this is the change in March corn futures compared to the previous day on the date that that report is released. Notice there's been a few years where the market has not had much movement, but there's been other years where there have been 3 to 5 to 7 cents change compared to the previous day. This is the important point. Make sure you're in close contact with your trusted risk management advisor to have your marketing positions in place prior to the release of the report on Tuesday, December 9th. Let's shift gears now and take a look at the December corn futures. Now, December corn futures will expire here on Friday, December 12th. We've seen the market rebound. It's trading near $4.40 a bushel as we tape here on Tuesday. So again, we'll keep a close eye on this for you moving forward. And then moving into later in the month and especially into 2026, we'll start to look at December 2026 corn futures. We're going to shift our attention now with harvest wrapped up here in the U.S. to Brazil. Now, they're planting full season corn in southern Brazil, and of course they'll plant the double crop corn after the soybean harvest in February and March. We're going to start out looking at where that full season corn is produced in Brazil. Now, the first season corn in Brazil is planted south to north, and we're looking at the key state in the south is Rio Grande do Sul. We'll get to that more in just a second. The key weather trend we want to mention now is looking at the past precipitation and temperature trends. This slide's courtesy of T-Storm Weather. Looking at that A highlighted there, that's the first crop corn. It's been very dry here for the last several weeks and actually stretching into the last few months. Let's take a look at corn planting progress now in Brazil for that first crop corn. In the south, as we mentioned, Rio Grande do Sul, the major state in the south where that corn is pollinating, the crop is planted. Now, overall, nationwide, about 2/3 of the crop is planted. But we're going to focus in on the south for that reason that we mentioned earlier. It's quite dry. We'll come back to that in a minute. Now we're looking at now the second season corn production in Brazil. That's, again, planted in February and March. Mato Grosso is the main state in the north. Highlighting how in B, looking at that past precipitation and temperature table, it's been quite dry for soybeans. Of course, soybeans are being planted now, but we're going to highlight that in a minute. There's some issues involved with that crop at the moment. All that being said, let's take a look at the short-term weather trends. Our slides this week, as usual, are courtesy of T-Storm Weather. We're starting out here, we're looking at A. Remember, that's that full season corn in the south. Now, there's some rain moving in here, some scattered storms December 7th to the 12th. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Now, let's move on to the next 14 days. Looking at B, again, Mato Grosso up in the north. More rainfall is forecast here, move in that area. That's important to keep in mind. Let's look at the next 2 weeks here. Look at the next 2 weeks now. In Mato Grosso, it's going to be normal. Now, that means that those soybeans are going to get planted. Now, they may be a bit late. And the weather market that's developing in Brazil is the fact that if the safrinha corn is planted later because the soybeans are harvested later, that opens up that crop to some vulnerability in next spring, March, April, and May, and the dry season might end early. In the south, you can see it's still a bit dry there in Rio Grande do Sul. That crop is pollinating as we speak. Let's wrap things up this week looking at trends in exports. Now, the exports here in the U.S. for 25-26 are 71% higher than last year. This has underpinned the market the first quarter of the crop year. However, we're going to wrap things up by highlighting it's important to remember that USDA is forecasting the U.S. corn carryout to increase more than 40% in 25-26. Critical message, continue to work closely with your trusted risk management advisor on managing price movement and avoiding price prediction. Now, if you'd like more information, please feel free to contact us at 309-664-2300 We'll put you in contact with one of our risk management consultants who'll be happy to visit with you at your convenience. And remember, we upload every Wednesday. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. And make sure to join us on Tuesday, December 9th at 1:30 p.m. Central Time for a detailed market analysis of the USDA report. Thanks a lot. Have a good week.